Thank you so much. I'm still one of the Bryans here tonight. I'm still alcoholic. Thank you for inviting me. My friend Louie has been talking to me about this meeting for a long time. He's been.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Well, after meeting you, now I agree. Yeah, fuck that guy. No, I would say he's been describing this meeting for a long time, and I would say he didn't quite capture it. But it's really wonderful. It's actually just a lifesaver to see all of this energy and people showing up for each other. So my sobriety date is October 6, 2011. So I've been sober for 13 years. And whenever I share, I just like to think about the day before that. So on October 5th, 2011, I was wandering the streets of Pasadena in the rain. Nobody knew where I was. I had tens and tens of thousands of dollars of secret credit card debt that I was hiding from my family. I had liquidated my retirement funds to drink. So the IRS was in search of me at the time. I had a felony shoplifting case winding its way through Riverside County. I had an aggravated DUI in Washington State. I had essentially orphaned my 3-year-old son. I hadn't seen him for months. I wasn't fit to see him. I've been very publicly fired from a job about 10 months prior. It was publicly meaning it was in the media. So I was really unemployable. I didn't know what day or time it was. I knew that it was either light or dark. That's how I told time, right? It's light out or it's dark out. I had to drink about 1.5 gallons of vodka a day just to start making my to-do list, right? Like get that 1.5 gallons going, and I'd be like, now I can make my to-do list. I was completely estranged from, I've just been cast out of my home, and I was not on any kind of a roll, right? But worse than all of that, so that's a lot of external wreckage. I would say worse than all of that is that inside, I felt that I was a savage, depraved person. I used to sit outside of the Bishop Gooden home, where I eventually went, and think, I wish I could get in there, but those are good people who don't want to drink. I didn't want to stop drinking. I just wanted to feel better, and I just thought I was a savage, depraved, horrible person. And that's a picture of my life the day before I got in here. And that inner wreckage of feeling completely unlovable, completely monstrous, completely dangerous. If you got near me, your life was wrecked. That's how it was. That's how I felt, right? And the way I got there, was a long progression, right? When I was growing up, I was afraid of alcohol. My family, especially on my mother's side, a long line of what they call good Irish drunks, right? So they are every single one of them dead. Every single one, from my mom to everyone I knew when I was a kid, dead, died in hospice, wrapped their cars around trees. They used to leave me in bars and forget my name when I was a kid, and they're all gone. They're all gone from this disease. And so when I grew up, I thought, I'm never going to be like this crew, right? They are just, I thought that they were savage and horrible and depraved. But when I did, so I didn't drink until I was 19 years old. I'm a late bloomer, but when I drank, at the age of 19, my freshman year of college, somebody handed me a beer, they said, drink just one beer. You can have one beer. We got through this year, have this beer, and I had that beer, and I thought, you know what? I don't think I've been giving this alcohol a fair shake. I think it is. The issue really here is the savagery of my family, and this alcohol is good. And the thing about alcohol, that what it does for me is it just instantly makes me human. And men and women drink because they like the effect of alcohol, and I like feeling human. I like feeling equal to the party. I like feeling like I belong, and that I'm okay to sit here and talk to you. And without alcohol, I don't feel that way, and with alcohol, I do feel that way. And I felt instantly that way, and at 19 years old, I said, I'm going to keep doing this. but I'm gonna have rules. I'm immediately 19, I said, here's how you drink alcoholically and here's how you don't drink alcoholically. And I said, I'm going to drink, I'm never gonna drink alone. I'm only gonna drink at parties, only ever so often. And I had this whole set of rules, right? I wrote them down as a teenager. And I obliterated, I would just went through each one of those. I crashed through each one of those. And over the course of 15 years, I kept crashing through the new lower boundaries. It would be like, I'm never gonna drink alone, to toward the end, I'm not gonna drink in the stairwell before work, at work, right? Or I'm not going to steal again, or I'm not going to embezzle from my company again. By the way, through all my alcoholism, I became a successful fundraiser. I'm a fundraiser in the nonprofit arts. I work with public money, and I had a successful career. And you know how I like to feel good and equal to the party? Well, one of the things that makes me feel good is good business results. And when I got good business results, everyone gave me a lot of praise. And when I got bad business results, I just said, hey, look, we've got good business results. And I falsified the financial records of my companies for years. One way to describe that is fraud, right? It's a federal crime.
That narrows it down.
I committed multi-$100,000 to $1 million fraud for like 10 years of my career. And at the end, they thought he must have stolen some of this money, right? But I didn't. I mean, I stole sort of money out of the concession stand, a drink or something, but I never stole money. I just wanted to look good. And they couldn't understand, I'm sure you can understand, why you would tell $1 million lie just to look good, And that's how I want to feel good and look good all the time with no breaks, no cessation of just a good feeling all the time, no matter what. And that's how it was for me. And what that did is, I got publicly fired from that job. Like I said, it was in the papers. One day they thought they had millions of dollars in the bank. The next day they were completely bankrupt. Had let everyone go. Right? I got a DUI on my way to pick up my son, my 2-year-old son at that time, on a Wednesday at 11. I always say they should set 11 a.m. I always said they should set up the roadblocks, the DUI checkpoints, like on a Wednesday at 11 a.m. because that's when the real alcoholics are out there driving. And so that got me kicked out of my, I lost my wife at the time is now my ex, but she took the son away, she kicked me out, and I looked at that child, and I knew I was leaving him because I couldn't stop drinking around him, and he looked so precious and so dear, and my heart was breaking, and I thought, I have traded this child for a drink. And all the worst of my drinking came after that. There's just no consequence severe enough to get me to stop. I really am powerless. It doesn't matter how bad I want to stop. I just can't. And I wanted my son back, but I could not stop drinking. And I lost him, and I lost my job, and I lost my life. I lost all my money, and I ended up, tried to live with my parents for a while. I thought they were the cause of my drinking, so that didn't work. And I ended up in this flop house in Pasadena. They called it a sober living, but you really just paid cash under a fake name so you could use all the time. And that's where I was. I thought it was great at first, and but I ended up just wandering the streets, landing in the ER again and again and again. And they wouldn't even give me a room anymore. They would just put me in the hallway on a gurney with borrowed social worker clothes, and that kept happening over and over again. And the last time they were going to get me a bed at the Bishop Gooden home, and I disappeared for days. And they found me in the ER one more time. And I remember waking up. You wake up in an MRI machine. And I woke up at this MRI machine thinking, oh shit, now everyone's going to know I've been drinking, right? And I'm just functionally homeless. And I get out of there, and a person called me. She was a friend of my wife's at the time. And she said to me, I thought she's a tough lady, and I thought, well, she's a lawyer, she's calling to tell me to get the hell out of everyone's life. She's going to say, Brian, nobody wants you around, just go disappear. This is what I thought she was going to say. I'd written this script out for her. For whatever reason, I picked up the phone, and she said, Brian, I want you to know that we heard about what happened. And I love you. And you're a good person. You can get out of this. And I thought, what a fucking bitch to say that to me. Because I knew that was not true. I had stolen from her, and I was saying this in my share, she had beautiful young daughters, I would have sawed the limbs off those little girls. If I could have gotten drunk for 15 more minutes, I would have done anything. And I did not recognize that kindness. I thought, here's some kindness somebody's offering me. I will never be the kind of person who can offer that kind of kindness. And I've never taken another drink since that phone call. But not because it was such a white light moment at the time. It was because I was just befuddled with what I was facing. I thought, the distance between me and someone like that is untraversable. I'll never get across it. And so somebody, came and picked me up and took me to the Bishop Gooden home. I just stopped in my tracks long enough to be dragged there. And I got there, and immediately what happened was I met the fellowship. I met guys like you, and I started telling these stories, and then immediately I felt human again. It was like that first beer. Immediately the fellowship was the thing that said, oh my gosh, I'm equal to the room. I'm okay. I'm a person, right? And these other people, you have done things like I've done, and you understand, and I'm a person. And so I had the fellowship, but I did not want to do the steps, right? I loved the fellowship. I clung to it like I was in a foxhole. This is going to save my life. But the Brian program of that time was, first of all, I thought I could run that rehab better. I made a little org chart for how they could run the business a little better, and I gave it to them. I don't think they've adopted it yet, but what I did was I said, here's my program. I'm going to sit in the back, come late, leave early, judge shares, laugh at people, make comments about the women. This is Brian's 12-month plan to get just bone dry. No steps. I didn't want to do any steps. I thought that the third step in God was for weak-willed losers. And so 12 months of that kind of fellowship-only sobriety got me to the place where I wanted to go. I almost drank a bottle of cooking liqueur and was crying, and I couldn't make any of the wreckage go away. And I called somebody in the program and who had 40 years at the time. I didn't understand how people could pair life and sobriety, how they could practice these principles all in their affairs. I didn't understand that. And I called somebody who had 40 years, and I said, I don't know what to do, because I've been sober a year, and all the lies are still there. All the wreckage, I haven't told one truth, I haven't started to unravel one problem. All this stain of sin that I feel, all these savage things that I've done, they're still with me. They won't go away. Nothing I do will ever fix this. Can you help me? And that was the first time that I did the first step with any kind of sincerity. I just said, I cannot fix this thing in me. And just by telling him that and asking him if he could help me, I was expressing some kind of belief that a higher power could maybe get me to a sane place. And he said, yes, we'll help you. And he showed me how to do the steps. He showed me how to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, which I didn't want to do, but I tried to do, and do a 10-step at night. And I did, and he said, can you do that tomorrow? And I said, yeah, I'll do the prayers tomorrow. And it took me 6 months of tomorrows to do it one time. But after that, I never stopped. And what happened for me, and I got in the middle, I got commitments, I became secretary and sponsored people and all kinds of different commitments and did things in the program. I got really involved and did what the suggestions are. And what happened was that my heart changed. Right? What AA did for me is it changed my heart and it redefined the goals of my life. When I got here, I thought if I could reverse all that wreckage, if I get the money back, if I get ID, if I could have clothes of my own, if I could have all this stuff, I could get calm enough to stop drinking. And now I don't think about that stuff anymore. Somehow AA just transcended me over those concerns. And what he showed me how to do through the steps is to say, how am I going to be of service to others today? How am I going to help others today? How am I going to make things a little bit better for the people around me? And so what happened for me is, over time, I didn't even know it was happening. But now, when I wake up, I think about the people in my life and how beautiful they are and what I can do for them. And I am in that place of that woman who called me. I just want to offer love in my life, right? And that is the thing that keeps me from being obsessed about drinking, right? And I never thought that I would be capable of anything of value for anyone. And now we all get this opportunity. We come in this horrible place and we're destined to become an agent of God's love. And that's like this miracle of this program. The worst among us become the most beautiful among us and give service through this program. And that is just an insane good fortune that we have to be here. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for letting me share and inviting me, and I think I'm out of time. So thanks so much.